Oh, there's a countdown clock now. I see it.
Look how many computers we have going right now. This is terrifying.
If you've tried to buy tickets to a marquee event in recent years, this is probably a familiar scene.
An absolute nightmare.
How long do you have to make a decision?
48 seconds.
Just get them. Just get them.
The mad panic that comes with buying tickets online has been a source of frustration for many Canadians.
I think the whole thing's rigged.
Concerts selling out in just minutes, with the tickets then reappearing only moments later on resale websites at a massive markup.
We found tickets on StubHub going for as much as $11,000.
So who's scooping them all up? A recent CBC News investigation based on information gleaned in part from the Paradise Papers is shedding light on one of those scalpers, Canadian Julien Lavallee.
Each time appearing to be in a different city. 310 tickets in just 25 minutes.
And he's cashing in. The Paradise Papers reveal Lavallee has turned this into big business with $7.9 million in gross sales in 2014. And he appears to be doing it with the blessing of StubHub, one of the biggest names in ticket resales.
We found a secret login page that leads to a handbook for what StubHub calls its top sellers and special software to upload and manage thousands of tickets at a time.
CBC News tracked down Lavallee in Montreal to ask him some questions.
Mr. Lavallee, how are you getting so many tickets in so few minutes?
What is your relationship with StubHub?
Rachel Houlihan is the producer on this story, which aired on this week's The Fifth Estate.
So, Rachel, earlier on the program, we were talking about the Paradise Papers, just this massive documents and finding stories in them. This kind of comes out of that, but it was one thread, and you had to put it together with all these other threads. How did you thread this story together?
So you start digging into the Paradise Papers. There's this massive client list, a lot of usual suspects, so lawyers, accountants, whatever. And then there's just this guy, this name that kind of stands out, Julien Lavallee. Who is he? You start looking at the documents, and he's a guy in Boucherville, Quebec, that seems to be running some sort of ticket business. But it's not clear, because there isn't a huge file on him. But there was one fantastic document, which was his resume. So in there, it's got Julien Lavallee, ticket broker. So you start reading through. It's got expansion plans, his business operation. And then in there it says that he's in a relationship or a partnership, according to him, with StubHub.
And finding the threads of the story as they're coming together bring you to Quebec, to the UK, to lots of money. Tell us how big this story got. What was the scope of it when you were finally at the point where you could publish?
So in there are some financial documents. In the documents, you can see that between, I think, 2013 and 2014, his gross sales are between $6 and $7 million. Now, how much is going into his pocket? We don't know. But we could see that he was a big player, and we knew that he had these expansion plans from his resume. So we started looking over in the UK, what's he doing over there? They have this law that actually makes it pretty transparent about who is actually reselling tickets on StubHub. We don't have that in Canada. So we could go on StubHub, and fan advocates and music managers had done that over there, and they could see that Lavallee was moving hundreds upon hundreds and hundreds of tickets. So we knew it was huge. And then we learned that his name had actually come up in parliamentary hearings. Like this Canadian from Boucherville, Quebec, was being brought up into this big takeout looking at this whole industry.
And so what did he have to say? We saw Dave trying to get him to answer a question there. Does he ever say anything?
Not really. We tried, and we did. Of course, we had to eventually go to him in person because we couldn't get a response through email or by phone. We did eventually get a response through a lawyer. And in a nutshell, he says that he's operating legally, and that's about it.
What about StubHub?
So StubHub, it was very interesting. So they said the same thing. He's operating, not he is, but StubHub operates within the law, that they ask their sellers to operate within the law as well. Not much more than that, except they did tell us that they do in fact have a program in place that helps incentivize top sellers, of which Lavallee would be one.
Well, this is a story that people who have ever tried to buy a ticket are going to want to know more about, and they can see more on the Fifth Estate. Thanks for telling us.
Thank you.